Audacious is such a juicy word. It's a sister word to extraordinary because you need to be audacious to make extraordinary happen. Imagine a world where everyone is actually being audacious. It would be completely different than what we're experiencing today. Today's guest, Marty McDonald, is audacious, and she's all about leading, showing, and encouraging women how to be audacious in their own lives too. She's the founder of Boss Moon Media, with a huge community guiding women to step into their brands, to be thought leaders, and make those huge goals happen. Additionally, she's launched Elle Olivia, a clothing brand giving toddlers confidence to chase after their big dreams, which is available in Target. And her new book, aptly titled Audacious, is coming out in fall of 2025. Marty is a passionate, values-driven leader and the type of woman who makes you feel lucky to have a moment with her. I'm excited to hear your takeaways from this episode. It is full of possibilities. Well, welcome to the Powerful Ladies podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
You know, Angie Wisdom is my coach. And when she sends someone my way, I know that they are going to be a important, powerful person. And when she sent me you, I'm like, yes, why have you been keeping her for so long? So let's tell everyone who you are, where you are, and what you're up to in the world.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm Marty McDonald. I am the CEO and founder of Boss Women Media, which is an offline and online women's empowerment community, an influential talent platform. And ultimately, we create experiences for women to connect, and we highlight women in our community to brand themselves. I've been running Boss Women Media full time since 2018. And on top of that, I'm one of those people who gets really curious. And I'm like, if I get curious enough, I'm going to go create it if I really believe in it. And so I am a 2X founder running two businesses at the same time with another company called Elle Olivia. Elle Olivia is a lifestyle brand for toddlers to see themselves in everyday moments through the clothes that they wear, through the books that they read, and through parental education. And this fall, I will get to ultimately add to my title list author, because I have a new book coming out, Audacious, this fall that I'm really excited about. And then on top of that, I'm a mama of 3 little kids that keep me full and grounded at the same time, that are 4, and I have twins that are just turned 2. And I'm a wife. Me and my husband have been married. We'll be celebrating our 15th year anniversary this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But ultimately, I am a girl who understands that audacity belongs to all of us. And it's up to us to decide if we want it or not.
I mean, just that alone. We can close the podcast now, just sharing that statement. And what I love about that word, like my word's extraordinary, like a lot of my courses and programming's wrapped around that. And like just the boldness, like the moxie behind Audacious, I think is so important because so many women today want to make a difference, want to make an impact. It's not just about, can I provide for myself? It's how can I have the time, the money, the freedom, the impact, the purpose. And you can't have all those things if you're not stepping into an audacious space. So how do you define that audacious kind of magic wand that you bring into your world?
Yeah. For me, audacious means having the courage, right? Having the courage to believe in a future that hasn't been proven yet.
Yeah.
Right. And then taking action towards it every single day. Mm-hmm. I think it's one thing to believe, but I think it's another thing to expect. Yeah. And I live in expectation. It took me a while to get there, though. Mm-hmm. Angie, I will have to give her credit for, right? But I think I expect it to happen. If we all walk in expectancy instead of in hustle,
yeah,
right? Because there's a lot of us that know how to hustle, especially us women, us mamas, right? We figured it out. Um, but I walk in expectancy when it's uncomfortable and when it's impossible. And that's what being audacious is. And I think that the one thing about audacious that I really loved is that it doesn't discriminate,
Yes.
that we all have access to it
Mhm.
if we decide. And so for me, audacious is a lifestyle that I live, and it's really the heartbeat of my story.
Mhm. Were you like, did you spring out of the womb audacious, or is that something that had to kind of find you?
You know, I believe that I've always been. It's
Yeah.
always been inside of me, right? It it was the thing that I had to find. I think it exists in all of us though.
Yep.
I
Agreed.
think we're all born with it, right? I'm not I'm not alone in it, right? But when I think about how I was raised and my upbringings and the access that I didn't have,
Mm,
it ultimately led me to being more audacious. It didn't hold
mhm.
me back. It didn't allow it to be my barrier, right? I grew up in a small town in Tennessee. I remember growing up, I was one of very few families that was biracial. And that was almost unheard of in the 80s. And always having to choose an identity when we lived in a world that kind of made you choose, are you black? Are you white? Are you
Mhm.
right? And so I think that was my first inkling of it, of audacity, of like, how, like, I'm not going to choose,
Yeah.
right? And then I think about just like being curious, challenging. I think about people along the way who encouraged me at a young age, right? I have this vivid story of my second grade teacher who was building and giving me confidence tools, and I didn't even know. But every time he called my name in the classroom, he would sing the most beautiful girl in the world. And I hated it. It was embarrassing. But when I look back on it, I'm like, he was showing me how to walk in my self-worth and my identity and all of that, which ultimately leads to all the things and character traits that you need to have audacity,
Mhm.
confidence, courage, right? I think it's always existed, but I'm not exempt. It exists in all of us.
Yeah. Something that I feel really privileged about is that I have felt a 10 out of 10 day.
Mm.
And once you feel that moment, and it can be a moment, it can be a whole day, but once you step into that space, we go, oh, it can be this. You can't unfeel it, you can't unsee it. And it gives you like a different aperture that what you're working with. Like everyone I have met has had a space they're like, oh, well, that's for the next level, whatever the next level is.
Mhm.
And the thought that we think that there's a difference between us and anyone else, and these rules we make about like who we can have access to and who we can talk to and what table we can sit at, the sooner that we realize that's all just a bunch of baloney, it like it shifts things. Like it does give you that courage to be like, if I want to talk to Oprah, I can just email her. Like, and the number of stories of just reaching out and asking someone to connect, or any of these things, like the people that we are meant to talk to in this world are so much easier accessible than we think they are, and the people who we need on our journey are there if we're choosing to ask, acknowledge, be grateful for it. it there's a different level of seeing our authority in how
Mhm.
this plan goes versus hoping things work out, eyes closed, fingers
Mhm.
crossed. And I really hear from you that you were like, nope, we're gonna, don't make me choose. I'm gonna just go and get what I have to get because okay, that's
Yeah.
what we do. How do you see that translating to your kids?
Mm. You know, that's such a great question. I think about what skills I want my kids to have often, right?
Mhm.
Whether they're the most courageous or not doesn't bother me. Whether they have a loud voice or a soft voice, that don't bother me. The skills that I need my kids to have is decision making. There are adults who don't know how to make decisions. But then I think about it, you got to be audacious to step in your power to know how to make decisions. And I need them to know how to advocate for themselves. Because once I'm gone, I can't be that for them. And that's what I think about all the time for them. Can they effectively make decisions, right? And that's us giving them those options at an early age at 2. Which one do you want? Do you want this one or that one? You only get one choice, right? I'm teaching them how to be a great decision maker and sticking with their decision. We go to the store. Which toy do you want? Well, you can only get one, right? For them to understand that there are options and then you have to stick with the option that you chose. There is a consequence to that, right? And that's what I work really hard for too. I like to think some days I'm like, what am I doing all of this for? Like, and it's not for me. It's not for me to receive the fruits of its labor. It's for my kids too. It's for their kids too. If I'm advocating in spaces and places that I feel like lacks equity for us, you better believe I'm doing that for my children and then for their children also. So this journey doesn't have to be the same for them, that it's accessible for them. So, you know, if ultimately I have great decision makers and I have kids who know how to advocate for themselves, I've done my job well as a parent.
There are so many clients who come to me that the core thing we have to start with before we can transform their business is just choosing what they actually want. And it's so interesting to me how many adults are not asking themselves, like, why? Why am I in this town? Why this job? Why these people? And one of the questions I'll be asking you is about like 8-year-old you. And I ask this question because I believe that we often have more clarity when we're 8 than some adults have, because we've layered on all this junk that isn't ours to be listening to the world through. And so I love this idea of like, can they make decisions? Do they know themselves enough to make the choice? Because if you can choose, like, again, you like, world's your oyster. What do you want? Menu's yours.
Yes. That's right.
Have successfully built a community that people rave about, that you're making an impact for. I was, envious of your Martha's Vineyard trip because it looks like all you did was have fun the entire time. And I love,
I also brought my 3 kids. So that was not
Instagram versus reality. So,
right.
but it just, I like the energy of everybody and how everybody was showing up. I was like, yes, like this group who's here gets it. So many people are craving to build a community, even one of smaller size than you've built, around the people that they are passionate about advocating for and lifting up. How did you always know you wanted to be community driven? Was it like helping them with their brands first? Like, how did you fall into holding space for this community you have today?
Yeah. When I was sitting in corporate America, I sat in corporate America for about 11 years in various roles at various companies. But my backgrounds, primarily my time there, was marketing. And so I was navigating this space under what someone else deemed it to be success or the blueprint thereof, right?
Yes.
And I remember going to a networking event. It was like the Women Food Service Forum conference. And in the room, everybody wore black and blue and gray, and everyone shook your hand a certain way, and everyone led with their title. And I thought, oh, I hate it here.
Mm-hmm.
How do you build genuine, authentic connectivity this way? I hate it here. And that experience showed me that maybe this ain't where I'm supposed to be. But it was a nudge. I didn't do anything with it at the time. And then fast forward probably 2 years later, I remember going to a conference, and it was an all women's group, but it was more like creators and startup founders. And I thought, oh, I love it here. But the biggest challenge there was nobody looked like me. So then I thought, oh, I love it here. But what happens when this room becomes diverse? Right. And then it was like I saw it and I couldn't unsee it. So then I was very much struck to go create it. And so at Boss Women Media, it's the intersection of possibility and representation.
Mm-hmm.
It's the intersection of what it looks like to be around folks who dream big, but then sparks the dream inside of you to then give you the courage to know that it's possible because you see someone else sharing their story. And then the through line at every program that we do, you are never allowed to wear black, blue, gray. I want you to just show up in your most beautiful form of your self-expression, not based off of a blueprint that someone told you was safe. And so I didn't know I would be a community builder. No. But I knew that I needed to create community that could ignite me, that I could hear the stories of others who were doing the thing. I'm one of those people who if you tell me your story and I feel really compelled to it, I am your PR agent. I go and tell 30 other people your story. I'm like, do you know what happened? And then this happened. And like, I just love for women to win, especially the underdog. And so at Boss Women Media, we show women what's possible for themselves. And I think my children line does the exact same for toddlers. The core of the mission is self-expression, representation, and possibility. And that's what we're anchored around.
Possibility is one of my words too, because it's endless. Like every business I've started has either been because, ooh, like that sounds fun, or that's stupid, we need to fix that. Like it's the two things. And I really relate to you saying how when you see the gap, you're like, wait, does no one else see this? Like, am I wearing special glasses? Because this is so obvious. And it's always surprising to me. Like I have to step into appreciation and gratitude for like the weirdo that I am. No, because this makes sense to me. Okay, now like my lane gets clearer and clearer as we go because of that. But yeah, like it's fun to me now to be in a space where like when I feel that weirdness, that weirdo coming out, I'm like, okay, this is it. It's coming. It's percolating. What's going to come out of this?
Yes. I think that everybody wants community. I don't care who you are, right? Especially when you're around like-mindedness that drives you, that takes a spark and ignites something in you, right? Like, and I feel like community is how brands are going to thrive to the next level of the day that we live in today, right? Like, gone are the days when you can have just a pretty brand. People want to be brought into the community of the brand, right? And that's how the brand is galvanized. And so I don't care who you are. Everybody wants to belong and be a part of something.
Powerful Ladies is so selfish for me because I get to invite people like you that I'm like, I want to know them. Like, I want to talk to them. I want to learn from them. Maybe we could be friends one day. Like, it's such a selfish thing. And I remember when I was starting in the community event side of it, and I would invite people to be a leader, and they'd go, but I love this, but I'm not powerful. I was like, what? And I have to keep coming back to this sense, the reality that so many women are still in a place that they don't know to be audacious. They don't know that they can step into this powerful space and take up the room. And how are you balancing taking this group of women with you up on the rocket ship and remembering that so many people need to hear like the level one story still, right? Because it's so easy when we're surrounding ourselves with this interconnected, engaged group. We're like level 20, and you're like, oh wait, we forgot people are still at level 1.
Yeah. I believe in this motto: you lift as you climb, right? It's the Delta way. It's the way change happens. And so for me, that's not volume, right? That's impact. And if that's one person, then that's that's all I did it for.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Everyone grabs it at different levels, right? And I can only bring what do they say? Bring the fish to water. I can't make the fish drink the water, right? And so I'm going to show you that it's possible, but you got to activate off of the possibility, right? My new book that's coming out is really setting this framework around how do you cast your own vision? And for someone that might feel very basic.
Yeah.
But for how many people are on this planet? 6 billion? Someone out of that, a large percentage, is trying to figure out, how do I cast my vision, right? Yeah. And then I take you along. Once you've cast your vision, how do you activate your network based off of your vision? How do you craft the story to work for you and the community around you? And ultimately, how do you then surrender it all? Because you can only control what you can control. And then you have to leave space for miraculous works to happen of my higher power, which is God, to reign over the favor that he has and what he has instilled for my future, right? And so for me, I'll bring you here to this level. I'll expose you and I'll share, and I will share generously, sometimes to a fault. But I also know that there are levels to this, and this is 8 years in the making. Like, I'm sometimes still starting the foundation over. I feel like 2025, 80% of my plan, I've had to scratch.
Me too.
There's been so much going on, which grounds me into, I got to go back to, what's the vision?
Yeah.
I got to cast a vision to a team that I have to excite and ignite and galvanize, right? So I don't think you ever lose needing the foundational tools. You always need them to activate. So whether you're starting at step 30 and you know to go back and get them, or you're starting at step 1, I think that you always need them. And sometimes it's a refresher. Sometimes it's for the first time. Sometimes it's to know that it's possible. But the tools that we offer and the community that we're creating them for, I believe, always needs them.
Yeah. Well, and I'm such a big believer too that the same methodologies, techniques, practices that create a successful business also create a successful life. If your business will work, your life will work. It all works together because it's the same thought process. It's the same stepping into your power and choosing and building selfishly around it. I love what you said about like leaving room for the miraculous. And there are some people who I know that leave things intentionally blank on their strategies because they're like, we're like, what's this page for? They're like, the miracles. And it'll just be like page 16 out of 25 is blank. And other people do it in their schedule. They're like, if I fill my schedule too much, there's no room for the miracles to show up. And I love these like really practical implementations of it to create that space. Because I don't know a single entrepreneur who's thriving, whether it's like a for-profit, nonprofit, whatever it is. I don't know a single one that doesn't rely on a spiritual component to help like the buoyancy of what happens on a day-to-day business like level, and also leveling up. Like often starting with like the whisper or the tingle that we knew we were supposed to do something, and like these golden nuggets that get left to be like, keep going, keep going. And I find it interesting, like women will talk about it a lot in the business space.
But men never talk about it.
No.
Never.
What is that about?
And you know what? And to be honest, most women don't talk about it either because it doesn't seem foolproof,
Yeah.
right? It seems, why would someone rely on faith to be their strategy?
Yeah.
But why not? I have had moments when these things have happened to me. That's how I know that you have to leave space for it. I've had moments when a brand has called me and said, hey, Marty, I have $100,000. We need to give it to someone. We want to give it to you. I've had that happen to me. I can count on several times. I've had moments when I'd never pitched a deal and an opportunity from someone seeing something that I did on LinkedIn and said, hey, count me in for the next one. I have X amount of dollars for it. That wasn't part of my strategy, going after that brand. They weren't on the docket, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I left space, right? Yeah. And I think that we have to realize that there's this thing around hustle and expectation. I don't know about you, but I don't want to hustle for the rest of my life.
I don't want to hustle any day.
But I do want to expect it.
Huh.
I do want to walk in expectation of what today is going to bring and believe that that what I'm expecting is going to happen for me, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know why we don't talk about it enough. My last chapter of my book it's called Surrender. This is the real secret sauce. Mm-hmm. And I go through this last chapter and I talk about how if you don't leave space, if you don't create something higher than you, whatever it is that you want to build, whether you're sitting in corporate, you have a startup, or you got the next $1 billion idea, if you don't have something as your guiding force in it, and sometimes their guiding force ain't good, but people have forces, right? And I'm not a proponent of it, but I'm just saying, I believe that you have to have something higher than you. And for me, that is God. God is my higher source and power. And I believe that we have to start talking about what he declares is for us is ignited into our businesses. And that is a part of my strategy.
Well, and I think it's built into like what we're attracted to and what we're drawn to. And, you know, like there's components of whether it's your human design, your soul, whatever you want to refer to it as, like when we stop and actually listen to those things, like it's the core fundamental part of like how we double businesses in the work I do. Like we're doing less work because I agree with you. Like hustle is not the answer to more, you know, hard work is, but hustle is different. But when we can come back and bring it back to what your alignment is, your calling is, what you know you're here to do, it's shocking to people like how things go away, doors open, other things happen. And that's just level one. What you're talking about in regards to the surrender and the expecting and being that magnet it's another level. And this year I took on, my word of the year was being a magnet. And I can tell you that every time I've tried to do something the hustle way, the old way, I've gotten laughed at. And it's just been like, you said you wanted to be a magnet. What are you doing? Mm-hmm. You said that there was going to be a component of allowing things to come to you. What are you doing?
That's so good.
Frustrating.
But tell me more, like through that practice of you Because I think that, like, I'll give a simple example. We want people to like our posts more on social, right? But we don't like nobody else's post on social. We want people to engage in our content, but we never engage in others. We want our family to show up for us, but we never show up for our family.
Mhm.
I believe that when you exude what you want,
Yeah.
you will get what you're giving back. If you exude meanness and prudeness and rudeness and all of the things, you better believe that's what you're going to get back.
Every time I'm feeling stuck in my business, I have to like let it all, put it out down all on the table and be like, okay, who do I need to go and serve right now? Because it can be checking on friends. It can be truly going out and volunteering. I'm like, I need to get out of this me, like my business space, because it's not how I want to be aligned in the first place. And there are moments when you get sucked into like the sprint. I'm sure when you were like getting the book
Yeah.
done, you're like, nothing else matters, go.
Yes.
And you get stuck, and all of a sudden you hit that wall and you're like, oh, okay, I got to come back to these other values that matter. And even just like leaving the house, like the number of times that a client will say to me, like, why isn't my sales pipeline working? I'm like, have you left your house? Have you met people in real life? Have you gone to a conference yourself? And the simplest question, who have you called on the phone? Because email is never going to be the solution to getting what you want. Like it can be a part of like keeping things flowing. But if we think we can email our way into a multi-million dollar business, we've read the wrong book.
Yeah.
But there's something about the movement, like
Yes.
networking, being with people, being in the room, and also being in the rooms where making sure you're not like you're in rooms where you are the small fish, the big fish, like mixing it up.
Yes.
Because when you're in spaces like you and I are of leading communities and driving things, it can get really exhausting to hold space for everything. And I know I have to keep coming back to, hold on, who are my peers? Who's inspiring me? Where do I need to go where I am not talking? Because I talk all day long and too much. So like, that's how I have to repivot it, because if possibility and impact and purpose and making the difference matters, like how much am I actually doing that right now outside of like like, not that my coaching sessions or client work doesn't count, but that's like it's already in the train tracks. I need to bring it in from other places.
Yeah.
If
That's
that makes
really
sense.
good. That's really good.
When you think of the words powerful and ladies, do you define them differently when they're on their own versus next to each other?
Oh, never. Never. I grew up seeing a powerful lady grandmother, right? Who exuded like confidence and was prim and proper and delicate and soft and strong, right? And so I 1000% believe that they coexist with one another, right? And um, I love women who are not afraid to take up space, but take up space in a manner that never belittles, always lifts, and gives reasoning to rooms that she's in. I think that I was telling my husband this not so long ago. I'm like, being a mom and owning a business feels like the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, period. And I go and kind of glean from who are some other moms that have done this, right? Like, because it almost feels like you have to choose, right? Like one exists without the other, right? And I'm defining what that looks like on my own terms, right? In a manner in which my non-negotiables show up. And so some of my non-negotiables are, I don't have meetings on Fridays, right? So that I can be present. And Fridays are when we get cookies and ice cream after school. And like creating these moments where I'm not denying myself of what I was made and who I was made to be, but also still being present with my children in a manner that allows them to see me, right? And so when I think about powerful ladies, I think both exude to exist together. But I also think that we have to do a better job of showcasing it to the world in a way that it doesn't look perfect. And that's okay.
Yeah, like it's a driving force for this entire podcast and community because there's so many women every day who are changing their family line, their community, their streets, their just keep going with the magnitudes. And we as a society are not honoring the small moments that are changing things, and women are doing them every day and usually doing 100 of them. And especially with the tone of the world right now, you see more and more women being like, okay, we're doing it anyway. Okay. Like, sure, now we'll take on 10 more things that we didn't think we'd have to take on. Okay. And women have been doing this for generations.
My God, 1000%.
And
We're just getting the credit.
yes.
We've been breaking glass ceilings. We've been
Mhm.
dominating the forces in boardrooms. They just never gave us the titles. Women didn't
Yeah.
just start this 10 years ago. I hate when people talk about the girl boss era and how it's dead and all of that. I'm like, but it was alive before it had it coined itself girl boss.
Yeah.
I think about the people who paved it before,
Mhm.
right? Women who changed the course of history,
Yeah.
the courage that they had to have, and the recognition that they never got.
Well, even, when you're talking about your family in Tennessee, like the courage that all the women in your family have had to have just for you to exist, like
Yeah.
all of us. And I've been really loving watching Finding Your Roots on PBS lately because it brings me back to the struggles that every generation has gone through and how we've had to step into our courage and the magnificent things people have chosen to do despite whatever the
Mhm.
circumstances were. And when you look at, we get so short-sighted. And I do think that there's a little bit of an awakening happening, especially for women of this generation, that like I'm like grateful for how easy some things were and how now and then now it's like, oh, this, like, we had women on from Kenya and Syria and Burma and Tanzania who are running NGOs on a special panel episode, and they're being bombed. They're having rights
Mm.
taken away and given back. Like, you never know what's happening every day. There's like they're having to do things even though it's illegal to help people and support people. And they're like, I asked them, how do you do that? Like, what makes you keep going? They're like, well, what else would I do?
Exactly.
And I think that like it was I needed that message because holding, being in charge of powerful ladies means people come to me when they start freaking out. And I'm like, guys, I love that you think I have all the answers. I certainly do not.
Especially in the country and the messaging that we're receiving right now, in the
Yeah.
time where we're, defunding opportunities that existed for women-owned businesses, for women of
Yeah.
color, right? For marginalized communities, right?
Yeah.
All of that, right?
Mhm.
It's like, Well, it's illegal. Well, they're making it illegal. Like, do I still show up? You absolutely still show up. You
Yes.
absolutely still show up, because you showing up isn't for you. It's for us as a collective to
Yeah.
create an equitable society where we all thrive.
Mm-hmm.
And we need more courage right now,
Yeah.
more than ever. And knowing that, and we don't need decisiveness breaking us apart, saying that we don't belong together. We belong with like-mindedness together, and it does not matter what you look like.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter who's in charge. Like
And it definitely doesn't matter who's in charge, because, oh, by the way, when we don't have to depend on who's in charge, then we take control over our own.
yeah. And so many of the things that like women are wanting to slam their head against the wall because it's like, what? Now we have to deal with this too. Like, we know that like if someone needs help, we help. We know that like I personally have never met anyone in all of the communities, all of the environments I've been in. I have never met someone who wanted to stay needing help. People want to be empowered. People want to be independent. People want to make a contribution. And I feel like women see that more often. And I'm so inspired lately by the women who are doing the work no
Yeah.
matter what. And there's a naturalized citizen immigration attorney who has to keep a low profile right now because they're receiving letters about like, you can be kicked out of the country too for helping these people, which is so nonsense and not true and not constitutional, but just sitting there doing the work anyway. How many people can I'm going to help again with the laws that I have access to help with, and you can threaten me and we're going to keep going anyway. And
Yeah.
like when you talk about the extra courage that we have, I think maybe we're using 10% a day.
Yeah.
What happens if we go to 20%? I don't know if that's a
Right.
big lift.
Right. Why not?
Yeah.
I
We,
love that.
we ask everyone on the Powerful Ladies where you put yourself on the Powerful Ladies scale. If 0 is average everyday human and 10 is the most powerful lady you can imagine, where would you rank yourself today and on an average day?
Yeah. Ooh, well, let me tell you, this week has been a week. I've been in 3 cities. I've been in 2 states. I'm like, all right, your girl. I did a keynote at an event last night. I woke up early this morning, got on a flight, got back home. I did school uniforms to get ready for our first day of school. I'm feeling pretty balanced. And if
Good.
I feel balanced, I'm feeling powerful. It has nothing to do with the deals that I landed. It has everything to do with how my values showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Time, freedom, financial freedom, time with my family, community involvement, influence. If I look back over this week, it all showed up.
That's a good
And
week.
and that makes me feel pretty powerful. But on the days when it don't, right? And I'm not showing up my values are not showing up for, right? Then that's when I don't feel powerful, right? When I let the day control me, when I didn't start my day with me in mind, right? When I let the circumstances take control over me. That's when I don't. But the way I ground myself in that is spending time with myself in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I write my gratitude list out. I do all the things Angie taught us, right?
Yeah.
But then I do this one thing. I ask God, what are you expecting from me today? And how can I show up in that expectation? And then I tell God, this is what I'm expecting from you. And that's when my most powerful self shows up.
Mm-hmm. And there's something I think audacity is rewarded in those moments, right? Because whatever you believe in, God, the universe, like they want to play. They want this engagement. They want to see you going for all the things. And I love that you can stand in a space and like tell God what you expect for the day, and then be like, okay, I'm ready to play. Are you ready to play? Let's go. Because
Yep.
like, how exciting. Like especially when you think about like a parent-child relationship in that way, when
Mhm.
when you see like the engagement and like the hunger in their eyes, like, ooh, we're ready. Okay, let's go. Because you can engage with somebody at a different level
Yep.
when they're showing up that way. And it's so interesting that I'm willing to bet so many people have heard you talk about that and talk about being audacious and immediately think to themselves, how dare you tell God what to give you?
Mhm.
And of course, that speaks to like all the things in their world, but like how I
Right.
could never.
Right.
But I like,
But he says, make our requests known to him. That is biblical scripture, right? And I also believe in what his promises says for me, to have a cup that overflows, to be a happy mother with children. Um, if he takes care of the lilies in the field, then why don't I think he can take care of me?
yeah,
And so, and I also know that the enemy goes before me, before God, about me every single day. So if I don't go and advocate for myself when the enemy is plotting against me, then what disservice am I doing?
and what a great correlation for advocating in a corporate environment too, because there's always somebody
Mhm.
who's gonna think like, oh, she is such a pain in my butt. Can we just get rid of her? Can we get her off the team? Like people who are playing small don't see the power of the game you're playing. And it, yeah, clearing that path for ourselves is, I
Yep.
hope everyone listening is taking that away in the biggest way possible.
Yep.
Final question for today.
Yeah.
This is a powerful, connected community. What is on your to-do list, wish list, manifest list? What can we hold space for you for or help cause happen? Like, what do you want?
Yes. Thank you for asking. Okay. So I have my book coming out. This is my book cover. It's called
Love it.
Audacious. It is, I love the design. It's like, here we go. It's upside down because to be audacious takes flow. It's up, it's down, it's movement to it, right? But I am believing and expecting to be a New York Times bestseller. And here's why. It has nothing to do with me just being on the bestseller list, but it has everything to do with my values and how my values show up, right? I believe that this book impacts community. Community is one of my values and influence, right? But I also believe that this leads to financial freedom, freedom for my family, right? And so I am believing to be honored in this season of sharing a compilation of the last 7 years of building Boss Women Media and Elle Olivia, of my space sitting in corporate America and lessons that I learned, my childhood and how it crafted me as the person to believe and not to believe in the most audacious ways. Um, and I believe that this is a love letter to the next person who believes that it is possible for them. And so I would love everyone to hold space and to believe and unite with me for New York Times bestseller, which basically means I need listeners to go pre-order this book on specifically Barnes and Noble,
Okay.
and let the world know that Audacious is coming out October the 14th. Um, and I'll be on a 6-city book tour for it. So if it shows up in your city, please come support. We're doing Chicago, DC, Charlotte, Dallas, and New York. And I'm really excited for it to transform the way people see what's possible. Because like I said, audacity belongs to all of us and it doesn't discriminate. Audacity doesn't discriminate. And it's for all of us to take if we want to have it.
Yes, please. So for everyone who is obsessed with you, wants to be in your groups, wants to buy the book, all the things, where can they find support and follow you?
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram, Marty T. McDonald, just like the restaurant. You can head over to our website, bosswomen.org, to find out all the things. /Audacious is how you can sign up for the email list for the book.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being a yes to me and to this community of powerful ladies. Thank you for the work you're doing and how you are lifting up so many other women. And of course, the young girls I'm obsessed with all the cheetah print colorways. Like, I'm so glad
Yes.
that you are also making adult sizes. I was like, thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
But just, yeah, thank you for who you're being. It gives me peace of mind that you are working your butt off to create these spaces in your corner so that the rest of us can own our corners and know, like, all right, we've got her over there. Cool. We can all hold hands and make sure that this change is happening. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to
Yeah.
be connected and in space with you. Thank you for the work that you're doing. I am cheering for you.
Thanks for listening to the Powerful Ladies podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe, leave us a review, or share it with a friend. Head to thepowerfulladies.com, where you can find all the links to connect with today's guest, show notes, discover episodes, enjoy bonus content, and more. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode and new amazing guest. Make sure you're following us on Instagram or Substack @PowerfulLadies to get the first preview of next week's episode. You can find me and all my socials at karaduffy.com. This is a Powerful Ladies production produced by Jordan Duffy and Amanda Cass. Until then, I hope you're taking on being powerful in your life. Go be awesome and up to something you love.